Hello everyone, my name's teacher Patricia and I'm from Shanfan Elementary School. Today I would like to talk to you about this book. The book's name is Maybe Something Beautiful, How Art Transformed a Neighborhood. So a neighborhood means the place that you live, like your city or your home, and transform means to change. And these are the writers. F. Isabel Campoy is one, and Teresa Howell is the other. And the illustrator, or the person who draws the pictures, his name is Rafael Lopez, and he's the one sitting by the green door. In the heart of a gray city, there lived a girl who loved to doodle, draw, color, and paint. Maybe, Mira thought, every time she saw a blank paper. And because of this, her room was filled with color, and her heart was filled with joy. So you can see that Mira's room is very colorful and has many beautiful pictures. And the little bird beside it is also blue, and there's a little color there. But most of the city looks like it's sleeping, or it looks like it's not alive. And the people too, the other people, they look a little sad. So besides drawing every day and doodling and painting, Mira also loved to give her pictures to people that she met. So she would give them pictures that she thought they would like. She gave a songbird to Mr. Sachs and a red heart to the policeman who walked up and down the streets. On her way home, Mira taped a glowing sun onto the wall, hiding in the shadows. Her city was less gray, but not much. So we can see from this picture that Mira was really trying to change her city, or trying to change her home. Maybe because it was so sad and so gray and dark. And maybe because it was her home, she liked it there, but she didn't like what she saw. So sometimes people live in places that they don't like, but they will stay there because it's their home. And they don't want to leave because it's their home. The next day, Mira saw a man surrounded by cans of color. He held a bouquet of paintbrushes and stared at the wall. He looked at her son. He held his fingers up in a square and peered through them. He said. What do you see? Mira asked. Maybe something beautiful, the man replied. Who are you? Mira asked. I'm an artist, he said. A muralist. I paint on walls. I'm an artist too, she told him. Then come on. He handed Mira a brush. So Mira was very excited and she picked a very bright color. She was so lucky to meet this muralist because before, Mira could hang up her pictures, but she couldn't really draw on the walls or the streets or anywhere in the city because we're not really allowed to do that. But the muralist has a special job, and they're allowed to draw on the walls. That's their job. So they draw pictures on the walls and on the streets and in places in the public where people can see, and they're allowed to do that. But if we do it, it's not okay because we're not allowed. And they can do it because it's their job. So when they started painting, something changed in the city. People started coming alive. The paint seemed to wake them up. Everyone seemed to become happier. And they all started to paint and to dance and to move their bodies. And they looked so happy. The heart of the city seemed to start beating again and come alive. And everyone joined in, even the children. So in this book, they called the paintbrush the magic wand. Maybe because when the muralists started painting and Mira started painting, everyone else changed too, and everything became brighter and more beautiful to look at. And everyone started showing their colors. So maybe in this book, the colors mean the things that you can give to your community or the place that you live, because everyone had many colors inside them, and maybe they wanted to draw on the walls and change their home or their environment for a long time, but they didn't know how to do it. So when the muralist came, he helped everyone to do it, but if he hadn't met Mira, then that wouldn't have happened. So Mira is only a little girl, but she helped to change her whole community and her home, the place she lived. So even if you're very small or even if you're very young, you can still change things. You still have power, because everyone has power, and they have gifts, and they have art inside them. And maybe you can't draw, or maybe you can't doodle, or maybe you can't paint, but you can do other things. So the most important thing is to show what you can do. Show other people what you can do, so they can see it too, and it will make them happy. So the last picture that Mira draws in this book is a bird high in the sky, looks like it's in the sky. So why do you think Mira, first she drew the bird and then she said maybe? Why do you think she drew a bird and said maybe? The word maybe in this book has a very special meaning, but I'm not going to tell you, because I really want you to read this book, because it has a great story, and also the pictures are very beautiful, and everything about the book is really good. So I really hope you can read it. But now I will tell you a little more about this book, about the illustrator I mentioned before and the writers. This book is very special because it's based on a true story. So that means it really happened in the world. And the place that it happened is in California, in San Diego. And the illustrator and the writers had the idea. The place they lived was just like this place in the book. It wasn't very happy, and it was very dark, and maybe many people lived there, but they didn't have a lot of money, or they couldn't change much in their community, and maybe they felt like they were forgotten. So he wanted people to remember, and he wanted them to have a good home. So he got everyone together, and he drew murals on the walls, and he invited all the community to come and paint the murals. And that's how it started, and it became a place it was called the Urban Street Art Project. And there are many, many more like this in America and in other parts of the world. And you can also see this kind of art in Taiwan. It's a place called, in Taiwan, in Taichung, there's a place called Rainbow Village. And the story is very similar. In this book, the illustrator and the writers, the illustrator Rafael Lopez was a muralist. So for example, he drew, this is one of the walls, and it was just a wall, and then he started to draw many pictures. And then he invited everyone, even children, and they would paint inside the pictures he drew. And then this is what it looked like afterwards. And then this is another one. And so you can see that many people joined. And so hundreds of people joined it. And then they painted more and more places. So now you can see this kind of public art all over the world in different cities, and even in Taiwan. So if you go to Taichung, there's a place called Rainbow Village. Maybe you already know about it. And the story is a little similar. It's about kind of the same. It's about an older man, and maybe his home, many people didn't live in the buildings around him anymore, and they were going to tear down or remove his building. So he wanted to stay there. So he started to paint. He started to paint the walls, and now it's called Rainbow Village. And so in the end, people helped him, and they started to ask other people, and then they didn't tear down his building or his home. So his home was still there, and he saved his home by using his art. So because before it didn't look very nice, and people thought it was a terrible thing, so they wanted to take it away, all the buildings there, because nobody lived there anymore, and he was the last one. So he changed it so it would be beautiful, and they wouldn't take it or wouldn't tear it down. And so this is a true story too. And so you can read more about that if you look on, you can check it out. And it's called Rainbow Village, and it's in Taichung in Taiwan. But I really hope that you read this book, because the book is wonderful and the pictures are great too, and it's a really, really good experience. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.